On this breaking story, I want to go across now to my colleague Gaurav Sawant, who's been working with Manjeet Singh Negi in putting this together. Joining us also is former Research and Analysis Wing Officer RSN Singh. Gaurav, how big is this parallel operation that's been launched? And I'm intrigued by the usual word parallel as being different from joint. What's the difference between a parallel operation and a joint operation? What's going on?
The Myanmar army is carrying out an operation on their side. The Indian army is carrying out an operation on our side in Manipur, in Nagaland. And this is an operation which has close to 40,000 troops in the Seven Sisters. The aim is to ensure that terrorists get choked. It shouldn't be easy access for them from Myanmar into India. The aim is Myanmar chokes them on their side, we choke them on our side. The terrorists will either be caught in the net or they will slip away deeper into Sagaing and from there into the Kachin province. Now, Kachin province is where neither Myanmar nor India can easily carry out operation. That's
Why
more
not?
like an independent kind of a province, not in the control of the Myanmar government so comfortably.
You've also been speaking to your sources in the intelligence agencies who are talking about the interrogation report of the top NSCN-K commander who was arrested. What is he revealing to his interrogators?
Now, he's a gold mine. He's one of the chief planners of that June 4 attack where 6 Dogra boys were attacked and we lost 18 soldiers. Now, Khumlo Abi Anal is a top NSCN-K commander. He was arrested in the Chandel district, very close to the Myanmar border. So that is where the choke is extremely successful. He was arrested. He's been brought to Delhi by the NIA. He said 23 terrorists carried out that attack on the 4th of June. 21 are still alive.
That's a very important point, RSN Singh. We claimed that in the last encounter where our forces had gone into Myanmarese territory, we were able to liquidate most of those, neutralize most of those who attacked Indian soil. Now, the NSCN-K commander we've arrested reveals that 21 of those terrorists are still alive. What are you making of this big parallel operation that is on currently? And Gaurav Sawant has been giving our viewers exclusive details about that, sir.
Let me put this in perspective. Even earlier, whenever operations used to be carried out, and we used to, India and Myanmar have been having very extensive meetings over the years. These are formalized meetings, and all the while, the Myanmaris have been very, very sensitive to calling, calling anything as joint operations, because that transgresses into sovereignty issues and all. So this is what they call coordinated operations. What you are calling parallel operations, it is coordinated operations. And let me tell you, there are means and arrangements available to exchange real-time information between the two countries. Otherwise, you cannot carry out coordinated operations. And look, there is nothing. I mean, India is not doing a favor to Myanmar, and Myanmar is not doing a favor to India, because you cannot solve insurgency in that region without taking the complementarity of Myanmar into consideration, and this Myanmar also realizes.
But RSN Singh, given how vast these jungles are, given how less the inhabitation over there is, this is a huge challenge, because the Myanmarese army, Gaurav, is not present there in great numbers. They're coming up to try and help us, but that's not really their main concern. While it is a heightened worry for India now, it's not really their main concerns. The jungles are mostly lawless.
And that border is so porous, there isn't a border guarding force. Now, what Myanmar is doing, and especially after the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, S. Jaishankar, our Foreign Secretary, and the Army Commander, Eastern Command General Rai, they visited Myanmar. The Myanmar Army Chief is coming to India. Very close cooperation on real-time intelligence sharing, on real-time operational, actionable intelligence sharing, and then not joint operations but parallel operations. The moment you have information of movement of terrorists, they strike from their side, we strike from our side, and we choke the terrorists. That's the aim. Easier said than done, but at least an effort has to be made.
RSN Singh, does this also bring out the sensitivities involved? The fact that last time maybe some of our ministers went overboard in beating their chest, and that really required a huge amount of firefighting for which the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval had to fly down himself, assuage their feelings. Is this really a lesson that India has learnt in your view?
No, I don't think so. He flew there to assuage their feelings or anything of that kind. And I think some of the diplomats who are not aware of these kind of operations and I don't have a background to Indo-Myanmar relations. Some of them have, but there are plenty of them who didn't have. They totally misread the issue. I know that area very well, and let me tell you that the Myanmaris have always been too happy if you have carried out operations covertly or overtly. Of course, there are certain things which need to be kept under the lid. But let me tell you, it was not the scale of operations, that after that attack on that Dogra convoy. It was not the scale of operations as such, but the scale of decision making, which has disconcerted these insurgent groups. Because hereafter, any reprisals is going to
I think that's the message that's going out very loud and clear. You attack us, we kill you.
Force,
that's the larger message that's going out. And despite the diplomatic inconveniences, the government of India persisting, and Gaurav and his team will continue to report on this massive operation that's currently underway. For breaking that story on the newsroom tonight, Gaurav Sawant, thank you very much. And thanks also to Arasan Singh for joining us with his thoughts. Thank you, sir. My colleague Manjeet Singh Negi has been able to procure from his sources in the intelligence establishment latest footage of terror camps that are still functioning inside Myanmar soil. And the word that the intelligence agencies are picking up is that these terrorist outfits are now extremely anxious to show that their fighting abilities have not been diminished. They are planning to stage a spectacular strike, and that is something that has the government deeply concerned. Manjeet Singh Negi with this India Today exclusive.
Never before seen images of perhaps the biggest Northeast militant training camp. Images that have sent shockwaves through the security establishment. Images filmed just this month. In fact, just 8 days after the deadly militant strike on the army in Manipur on the 4th of June. Just days after the ambush in Chandel, Manipur, that killed 18 soldiers, this militant group seen training for combat along the Indo-Myanmar border. The shocking video of fearless daylight training of hordes of militants comes as a jolt, given it was filmed just 3 days after India's much-touted secret strike inside Myanmar territory, an attack that was supposed to have sent out a strong message to terror groups.
The interrogation of the arrested NSCNK commander, Khumlo Abi Anal, has corroborated intelligence inputs that the recent attacks did not break the back of NSCNK and People's Liberation of Army of Manipur. These terrorists are now plotting revenge attacks. Intelligence inputs seem to indicate after the strike in Myanmar, the terrorist groups are now going deeper into Myanmar and focusing their camps at the Kachin province.
According to sources in the Home Ministry, 61 terror groups are waiting in the wings to launch attacks.
इंफॉर्मेशन मिल रही है, कुछ आर्मी ऑपरेशन हुए हैं, उसके बाद तो कुछ इनपुट भी है कि वो लोग भी रिएक्ट करेंगे और हम लोगों ने चौकसी और बढ़ा रखी है. सारे लोग काफी अलर्ट हैं, उनका मुकाबला किया जाएगा.
The Assam Rifles on the Indian side and the Myanmar army across the border have started parallel operations in a bid to preempt a terror strike. The aim is to seek and destroy terrorist training camps, logistics camps, and deny them safe havens on either side of the border. But this is a task that's easier said than done, especially in the monsoon. With cameraman Satinder Bhati, Gaurav Sawant in Delhi for India Today.